Hey guys, in the last video we discussed about Spring Boot REST API development in just 5 minutes, right? But have you noticed something? Like nowhere we created the objects and who is creating the objects and who is managing those objects. That's where IOC container and dependency injection comes into picture. So in this video, we'll understand what is dependency injection and what is the role of IOC container in Spring. Let's get started. All right. To understand dependency injection, we need to understand tightly coupling versus loosely coupling. Firstly, what do you mean by coupling? Tight versus loose coupling. Tight versus loose coupling. What do you mean by coupling? Coupling nothing but how strong a class is dependent on another class. That is nothing but in coupling. So here we have two types of coupling, tight coupling versus loose coupling. So coming to the tight coupling, for example, let's suppose there is a class called car class. Okay, inside that car class, if this car class internally creates another class object called which is engine, let's suppose. This is car, this is car, and this is engine. Car have engine, right? Engine. So now this car class is completely dependent on this engine, right? Why? Because inside the car class you are creating engine class object. This is nothing but tight coupling. This is nothing but tight coupling. Now, I'll tell you an example to understand loosely coupling. For example, the same car, for example, there is a car class and we are not creating object of engine inside, whereas we are creating outside. Okay. And if you try to inject this outside engine class into this car class manually, repeat, if you create engine class object and if you inject into this car class, and this is called loosely coupling. Whenever you are injecting the object from outside, that is called loosely coupling. Don't worry, I'll tell you with an example, you'll understand. Okay, so let's get into the practical thing. Okay, for that I just creating the Java object, Java class. I'm creating Java. Okay, I need to change to yes. Now new Java project. Okay, I'm just giving project as uh, let's so YT DI dependency injection. Okay, now click on next and finish. Okay, see YTDI object, I mean project got created, and inside this src we have module.info file not required as of now. I'm just deleting this. So right click on the src, we know already, right? Right click on the src and create a normal Java class. Creating something, I'm giving as main one, let's suppose, and package com.htm or something. Yes, I need a main method. Okay, so now let's try to understand with the example. I'm creating a class called class car. Okay, inside this car. Okay, so let's suppose I have an engine also. Okay, inside that uh, class engine. Okay, now class engine. Okay, now I'm just writing a method, a normal Java method, void mm, running system.out.println. I'm just writing here a friendly message like um, engine running. Okay, now engine running, a normal method. So If I try to create this engine class object inside this car class directory, engine e is equals to new engine. This is how we used to create the object for the class, right? See, inside this car, we are creating the object for what? For engine. And here I'm creating a method, simple method like drive. Okay. And inside this drive method, I'm just calling our engine class method, which is running running, e dot running, and started. Okay. Engine running, car started, car started. See, when this car will be started, when this car will be started after this engine running. Am I right? Now car is completely dependent on this engine or not? Engine or not? Okay, let's see. Let's see. For whom we need to create object? For car. Car something C is equals to new car. Is that clear? Right? Next, what is the method? C dot drive is the method. Inside this drive method, what you are doing? You are calling running method, which is belongs to engine, and you are writing some user friendly message car started. When this car started, whenever you are calling this, after calling this method belongs to whom? This method belongs to engine. So we need to create this object. If this object not created, you cannot able to call this method, and your car will not be started. So car is directly dependent on whom? Engine, right? So look at the output. Engine running, car started. Very good. This is tightly coupled. Your engine class and your car class is tightly coupled. If you want to change the engine, it's not possible. It's very difficult. Again, you need to change the car class. This is the big disadvantage of tightly coupling. This already we used in Java, right? So now I'll explain what is loosely coupling. Okay, so in loosely coupling, we are not supposed to create object directly inside the class, whereas we are going to give this object from external source. See, see. Let's suppose I'm just changing this method to an abstract method, and I'm changing this class engine to, I'll tell you the advantage, interface engine. Okay, now I'm injecting this engine into this car as usual, engine something E. But I'm not creating the object here. Can you able to see that? I'm not creating the object here. I'm just giving. Okay, now as usual, E dot running. I'm calling. That's it. Okay, now see, I'm creating a class called petrol engine. Petrol engine. Petrol engine. And now this class is implementing our interface called engine interface. So we know the mandatory rule. What is the rule? Already we have an abstract method. We need to override that abstract method. I'm just overriding. Okay. Now here I'm writing. Yes. Which engine? Petrol engine, right? Petrol engine running. Petrol engine running. That's all. That's all. Understand? See, I'm not creating object directly, whereas I'm just creating another class which is implementing our engine. And while I'm passing, see, while I'm passing, I need to inject this engine class object, right? To inject what we can use either setter or we can use constructor. Okay, I'm using constructor. Public. What is the class name? Car. Okay. Okay. Engine. Engine E. How to inject? This dot E is equals to E. Okay, we just injected with using constructor. Now while you are creating the object, we need to pass. Now what I will do, I'll create object for petrol engine. Petrol engine E is equals to, or otherwise we can use engine class also. engine PE is equals to new petrol engine, new petrol engine. Now I am passing that PE. That's all. Look at the output. Petrol engine running, car started. Now what happened here? You're not creating objects inside the car class, whereas you're passing the object from outside. Now if you have some other engine like diesel engine, in the same way, if you create another class, another class, okay, this is diesel engine, diesel engine, okay, and here also diesel engine running. Now if you want to create, diesel engine also, you can create and you can pass D, and here what, diesel engine. If you want to pass petrol engine, it will work, or otherwise you can change to diesel engine also. Diesel engine also. See how easily we can change the engine. See, diesel engine running, car started. Have you understand the advantage here with the loosely coupling? If you go with the tightly coupling, car is directly coupled with engine. We are not supposed to change the engine. But whereas if you go with the loosely coupling, you can change to petrol engine or diesel engine, whatever the engine if you want. This is what the advantage of loosely coupling. Understand what is tightly coupling and loosely coupling? Right. Now, this loosely coupling is used in spring. See, we are injecting engine into the car, not directly but indirectly. This type of injection is used in spring. And we are injecting engine class into car class, right? See, we are injecting engine class into where? Car class. This is called dependency injection. I repeat, dependency injection nothing but injecting one class object into another class. This is called dependency injection. This we used to do normally in core Java, whereas coming to Spring, we are not responsible to do any dependency injection. Everything will be taken care by something which we call it as IOC. IOC stands for inversion of control. And object creation, object injection, object destroying, everything will be taken care by that IOC container, which is given by the Spring. I repeat again what we understand just now. What is the difference between tightly coupling and loosely coupling? Tightly coupling means object creation will be done internally. Inside the car class, if you create engine class object directly, that is nothing but tightly coupling, where car and engine are tightly coupled. You cannot able to change this engine if you want. That is the big disadvantage of tightly coupling. So that's why in Spring we move to loosely coupling. Loosely coupling nothing but injecting one class object into another class from outside. In that case, if you want, you can change the injection object. Nothing but dependency object. If you want to inject petrol engine, you can inject petrol engine. If you want to inject diesel engine, you can inject diesel engine. That is what the biggest advantage when you go with loosely coupling. And in Spring, we uses loosely coupling only. Nowhere we are going to create object. Everything will be taken care by IOC container. Dependency injection nothing but injecting one class object into another class. Injecting one class object into another class. That is nothing but a dependency injection. That dependency injection will be taken care by IOC container. IOC container. IOC nothing but it stands for inversion of control. Inversion of control. Inversion of control. Bring IOC. Is that clear? IOC will take in care entire dependency injection. See here, in this example, we created the object for the petrol engine. We created the object for the diesel engine. We created the object for the car. But whereas coming to Spring, this entire creation of objects, injection of objects will be taken care by IOC container. Now the question is how to do this dependency injection automatically. So to understand that, we need to understand how many ways we can do this injection. You understand dependency injection, right? Right? Injecting one class object into another class. See, we are creating diesel engine object and we are injecting to whom? To car object. This is nothing but dependency injection. Understand? Understand? So at this point, who is executing? Car class constructor will be executing, right? So that's where injection happened. Now the thing is, we can do this dependency injection in total three ways. Dependency injection. Dependency injection. We can do this dependency injection in Spring in total three ways. What are the three ways? One is one is constructor injection, constructor injection, and second one is setter injection, and one more is field injection. Field injection. Constructor injection, setter injection, field injection. Constructor injection nothing but if you use constructor to inject one class object into another class. Go back to the code. See, you are creating object for the diesel engine and you are creating object for the car. And you are injecting diesel engine into which class? Car class. So who is executing at this point? Car class constructor is executing. This is where injection happened. So for what you are using to inject one class object into another class, you are using constructor of that car. So this is called constructor injection. This is called constructor injection. Constructor injection. Understand what is constructor? If you use constructor to inject one class object into another class, that is nothing but a constructor injection. What is setter injection? If you create setter, I'm just creating a setter, public, okay. Um, Come on, set what e, set e, and I'm getting engine, engine e, and here this dot e is equals to e, this dot e is equals to e. See, if you use this setter to to inject this engine class object into car class, then that is nothing but an setter injection. This is nothing but a setter injection. Now let's try to understand how to do this setter injection. Go back to the main method. See, I'm using constructor injection as of now. So for that, I just want to create a normal constructor also. Yes, default constructor. And in that case, I'm not passing the DE object to the constructor now. I just want to call my setter. How to call the setter? C dot set E. And here I'm passing out DE or PE, whatever it is. So this time I'm passing PE. In this case, I'm not using constructor to inject the to inject the petrol engine object, but whereas I'm using setter to inject petrol engine object into car class. Now, if I use setter, this is setter injection. If I use constructor to inject, it is a constructor injection. See, now also you'll get the output. See, petrol engine running, car started. In the before, I used constructor to inject, that is constructor injection. That is constructor injection. And if I use setter, it is setter injection. Understand what is the difference between constructor injection and setter injection? All right. And there is one more. What is that? Field injection. To understand this field injection, we need to understand a concept called auto wiring. Auto wire. So later we'll understand this field injection. Okay. As of now, I hope you understand both setter injection and constructor injection. What is dependency injection? What is dependency injection? Injecting one class object into another class. If you use setter to inject one class object into another class, then that is setter injection. If you use constructor to inject, then that is a constructor injection. That's all. That's all. You understand what is tightly coupling versus loosely coupling. Tightly coupling nothing but directly if you have engine class directly inside the car. If you create engine class object inside the car, then car and engine tightly coupled. You cannot able to change the engine. If you want to change the engine, you need to again change the car. But in that case, you are injecting the petrol engine or diesel engine from outside. See, if you want to change the engine, you are not changing the car class. You are not changing the car class. You can use petrol engine or you can use diesel engine to inject directly. Why? Because both car class and engine is not directly connected. Those are indirectly connected through an interface. This is called loosely coupling. This is the advantage of loosely coupling. And remember, in Spring, we use loosely coupling only. Okay. And see, here we manually done the injection. Either set constructor injection we manually done, even setter injection also we manually done. But coming to Spring, every injection will be taken care by IOC container. I will tell you with example practically in the next session. Thank you very much. I hope you all understand.